Welcome back to the Armchair Generals.
Where we talk about 40K news, tactics, lore.
And so much more. We hope you enjoy the video.
So next we have some changes to melee weapons. El Scotcho, you want to go over those? Do you have it pulled up?
Yes, chain swords belong on every single Marine that can take them now, not just because they're space wolves, but because they're AP1 if a Marine is holding it. So, 4 feet of adamantium going through your sternum actually can penetrate armor for some reason all of a sudden magically. I'm totally in support of this. All my space wolves are already modeled with chain swords. So
there's an awesome fight scene in the very first Gaunt's Ghost, first and only, where he's actually dueling someone chainsword to chainsword. And the impracticality of two chainsaws hitting each other. Dad Abnett just does such a good job of describing that.
Yeah.
I haven't read First and Only in a while. I need to go back and read it again.
That's how Gaunt gets that horrible stomach scar that he has when he takes off his shirt for the women's and the novels.
Goodness, El Scotcho. Spoilers. I know that book's 20.
I was going to say, if you haven't read that, then you're brand new to the hobby or you just don't read. One of the two.
The book's old enough to buy adult beverages.
Yeah.
My question would be, Sisters of Battle use chain swords. They're not Astartes chain swords, though.
No, they're going to stay.
Okay.
They're chain swords, guardsmen's chain swords.
They're not genetically modified and super strength.
I'm hoping it carries over to like Striking Scorpions. I'm hoping Striking Scorpions pick up the AP.
It would make sense with their army rules and how long they've been known for having chain swords.
I imagine they'll get a different name. Like they'll have chain swords. Space Marines are having Astartes chain swords. They might get like Eldari chain swords.
I mean, they already have Scorpion chain swords. So differently.
Okay. Yeah.
But I'm just kind of hoping that carries over. And I can understand why like Guardian, like Storm Guardians have access to chain swords.
They're not getting an upgrade.
And I know like Guard Sergeants have access to the chain swords, and I understand why they wouldn't get it. It's not an Astartes chain sword. But unlike Sisters of Battle are in power armor, so they're stronger than a standard guardsman. Would they be able to wield an Astartes level chain sword?
I mean, they don't have the genetic modification Marine does.
Story-wise, sure, probably. Game mechanics-wise, I don't think they'll get it just so to keep one faction's thing unique versus another faction's.
That's fair.
The sisters already get like a lot of really cool, unique stuff unto themselves.
Yeah.
Especially with their newest refresh. I mean, all the models are amazing. Their rules are great. Their background is heavily expanded on. And they could always upgrade their eviscerators that the
Sisters Repentia
get. Yes, thank you, the Repentia get.
Okay.
And, those are giant two-handed claymore-like chain swords, so I would see those getting a little bump as opposed to just their squad sergeant's chain sword.
Wouldn't mind a Astartes level of those. That'd be pretty cool.
In addition to the chain swords, power swords are getting +1 strength.
Oh, so good.
Yeah, we'll see if that. I'm curious to see if that carries over to the frost swords for Space Wolves or not. I mean, they already had I believe they had an extra strength already, so maybe not. But
yeah, their frost swords already had +1 strength, and your frost axes had +2.
So they might give them something different, maybe an extra AP or something like that, or they might get even more strength when the Space Wolves supplement comes out.
Yeah, we'll see. That'll be interesting. I don't have too many of them in my army, so
I'm interested to see its effect on other armies, honestly, such as, to go back to my Space Elves, Eldar. Eldari.
They'll always be Eldar in my heart.
They're Eldar. But like Howling Banshees. And it would also explain the slight nut check that Howling Banshees took in points increase if they're getting that +1 strength now, which they should. I believe it's...
I think all power swords are getting it. So if a weapon is ubiquitous, I believe it's in this article that they already said that everyone's faction if they use that weapon, will get the upgrade. It's just whenever they get to printing the books.
So, I mean,
I'm okay with that. Power
Banshees
swords
going
makes
up to
sense.
strength 4 immediately makes them a useful unit again.
That's
Yeah.
so crazy. It's
I
going to
mean-
be really good.
But I mean, that's always been their failing, is their ability to take down Space Marines, even though that was the point of the power swords.
Yeah.
Take down.
Well, and I remember when we first started getting the hints of what was coming for 9th edition and seeing some of the points increases, you were very adamant that the points change didn't make sense for Howling Banshees because they
Lack of
Oh,
capability.
yeah.
They were already overcosted for what they could do, and then they took, I think, a 4-point increase.
Yeah.
So what were they, 11 points or 15 now?
Yeah, I think
Or
so.
is that just their base cost? Maybe their weapons aren't baked in.
I mean, their weapons weren't baked in before. You had to pay for them. Now they're baked in. But the overall points change was like a 4-point increase on a unit that people already didn't take because they just weren't worth the points.
But now if they're strength 4 instead of strength 3 Eldar, that's not horrible.
So I'm looking up the points increases in my little Munitorium field manual.
Yeah.
And under the Eldari, under Power Sword, it gives 5/0, and it's like Swooping Hawk's Exarch pays 5 points. Everybody else 0. It's like, why was that one model singled out to have to pay 5 points for a Power Sword?
Well,
Because
that's
he can zoom.
It's just really funny.
but I mean, the power sword change is going to affect a lot of armies.
It is.
Just like the chain swords, just like the heavy bolters, the flames. Like, these are some pretty wide sweeping changes for weapons that have been kind of. I mean, when was the last time you saw somebody take a power sword that wasn't a master crafted power sword for its damage too?
Been a while.
Curious. You think that Farsight will get an upgrade because his melee weapon's technically a power sword, isn't it?
No, his Dawnblade?
Yeah.
His Dawnblade's already really good. It's already -4
Oh.
AP. No, it's pretty beat stick melee weapon.
It's
Got it.
pretty beefy.
I mean,
We
it's
do.
how he stays immortal.
No, do you want to go over the changes to the plasma weapons?
Sure. So, Plasma got a nice little bonus. It now, so before, if I had my plasma gun in my Marine unit or whatever, and I shot, say, an Eldar Flyer, they happen to be, and then they pop a stratagem, I could be at -3 to hit it, which means on a 1, 2, 3, or 4, my plasma weapon is going to overheat. I'm going to die. You would never take that shot.
No.
If you did the powered up version. Now it's going to be on an unmodified roll of a 1, which for all the older players out there, that's how the weapon worked from 3rd to 7th edition. You rolled a 1, that's when your guy would get hurt. So now it's kind of going back to that. Of course, also now only on the overcharged profile. You can still fire it normally and not have to worry. But it's so much better for plasma guns and plasma weapons in general.
I think we'll see some more Hellblasters on the field.
Oh, yeah.
You're going to see
I
more
agree.
Hellblasters. I think you're going to see more plasma weapons on vehicles.
Yeah.
Typically,
Ooh.
vehicles just took mortal wounds versus the dying outright, but still, you didn't want to hurt yourself with how easy it could be.
Well, we might see, especially, going to touch more on the mini Marines getting another wound, but with that, we might see plasma cannons on mini Marines again.
Whoa.
Which with
Wait. Is this 3rd edition Dark Angels that were?
I forgot that weapon existed for a moment.
I know.
they got the blast rule. So as long as, and they're a D3 weapon, so as long as they're shooting at a unit of 6 or more, they get full shots. 3 shots per plasma cannon.
Ouch.
I mean, a dev squad with 4 plasma cannons can throw out a lot of nasty plasma fire.
Yes, they can.
And at 2 wounds apiece, I mean, yeah. I'm definitely looking forward to seeing more plasma, because for me, actually, because I started with Dark Angels, plasma weaponry has always been an iconic part of 40K that in recent years has not been utilized at all.
Well, it's been even more. It was kind of like Dark Angel's special shtick for a while. Like, they were the first Legion, so they had more plasma in their arsenal.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. I mean, they've got access to things that the rest of the legions and then their after chapters only wish they could see.
That's right. I mean, their Primarchs deep down locked in a basement. They don't even know about it.
Yeah.
He's like,
oh, and Luther got out of his cell. Don't
20
forget
feet away from the chapter command eating dinner.
Yeah.
It just threw some rock.
Don't forget Luther got out too, so that ought to come back to rear its ugly head here soon.
Wasn't it the changeling that got Luther out of the rock?
Yep.
I think so. I'd have to reread the story exactly.
Yeah, I mean, a little speculation. I'm really hoping the Lion is the next Primarch or Russ. I'd be okay with Russ.
Why not just do them, like a month apart from each other?
I don't feel like they'll be bringing more Primarchs back. I mean, the 3 that they brought back have been so wildly popular amongst collectors, players, painters.
Well,
And people have made some amazing looking Primarchs.
Yeah, and I mean, competitively, it gives more variety, especially for Space Marines, since Space Marines don't have big monster units. But for casual players like Scotcho, it's pure. I mean, it's an injection of flavor and lore.
Oh my gosh!
For somebody that I mean, I do both, but also the painting and the modeling aspect. I've been thinking about turning my Robbie G model into a Lorgar Demon Prince. Some prime blasphemy. But, more models of that caliber provide more modeling options. And then paint jobs. I've seen some incredible Robbie G paint jobs.
That's part of the story with my Ultramarines is that I use Calgar. And the whole thing is he's trying to fill that void of now not being in command of the Ultramarines. And he's trying to just impress his dad, for better, lack of better words. Like he's trying to prove himself.
Notice me, senpai.
Huh?
Notice me, senpai.
Oh yeah, exactly. And so I know in the codex, like there's a really cool saying that by Reboot Gilliman that Calgar doesn't disappoint me, blah blah blah. But being as a person, and Space Marines just are hyper super people. Like I can only imagine being the commander of one of the biggest militaries in the Imperium, and all of a sudden going to not really anything, just almost a glorified lieutenant.
Yeah. Well, correct me if I'm wrong. At this point, doesn't Calgar have more military and battle experience than Robbie G? Calgar's like 1,000 plus years old.
I know
Robbie G's
1,000, but
Primarch. So
yeah, but actual field experience, yes, Calgar would be more. But I mean, you're still going to defer to your Primarch. You just are.
If I remember correctly, and definitely correct me if I'm wrong, I thought Calgar or Gilman basically like acknowledged, yes, I'm your primogenitor, I'm your Primarch, but I'm the only Primarch right now, so I kind of got to control the whole Imperium, and you guys go keep being Ultramarines.
He left Calgar in charge of Ultramar and the Ultramarines. He's still the chapter master. But when your boss comes back and takes the title of like Regent of the Imperium, like he's still an Ultramarine.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's going to be a little bit of an inferiority complex.
Poor guy.
It's like you're the peak. You're the best of the best. Ultramarines, first among equals and all that jazz, right? What happens when someone comes along who's better? Like even though you've idolized that person your whole life, he was stuck in a stasis field. And all of a sudden, boom! It's like, oh, now I'm not number one. I'm kind of second tier. So in my army, like that's just what Calgar's doing. He's going around doing all these campaigns. It's a very compact, mechanized force, and that's his driving thing for my Crusade narrative. He's trying to, even though he doesn't need to, he's still trying to get that respect from Papa Smurf.
Yeah.
Can you imagine the party at the Rock when Lehman Russ shows back up?
I don't think that'd actually be a good party. Might be one to skip.
Thank you for joining us for today's video.
We hope you enjoyed your time with us.
If you did, please remember to smash that like button.
Hit subscribe and click that notification bell,
so you never miss a video from us.
Until next time, we are the Armchair Generals.